everyone, it's the Actual Shifter here, and I am back with the next Multiverse Wars episode number 76. And today, we're going to be looking at a more simpler matchup after the last one, Deoxys versus Six Shot. Today, we have a battle between Foxy from the FNAF franchise and Boris from the Bendy series. So, without further ado, let's get straight into them and see who would win. Let's go. Foxy is officially back on Multiverse Wars. He first appeared all the way back in episode 50 in the Fazbear Crew vs. Arkhamverse Bat Family Total War, where he kind of just lost to the Bat Family in general, but he still put up a decent fight at the very least. But anyways, Foxy is still a major antagonist within the FNAF franchise, as he is an animatronic fox entertainer at the kid-friendly but often haunted and cursed Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, where he is the main attraction of the out-of-order Pirates Cove, where it's also believed that he had sang and danced for the children and adults alike. He is also, once again, and obviously, as you all know, possessed by a dead child named Fritz, who was killed by William Afton. But now, let's talk about his powers, abilities, and feats. In terms of strength, AP, and durability, Foxy is strong enough to shove a fully grown man into an animatronic suit, to the point where it crushes his skull, and to the point where his eyes and teeth are shown, as shown in the FNAF 1 Game Over screen. He can also overpower humans like the phone guy and Mike Smith, and it's even implied that he even tore people apart in the past, Foxy alongside the other animatronic members. But he also does scale higher than this because he can beat up the industrial steel security doors of the office, and could potentially have broken them down by attacking them for long enough. But his best showings and statements come from this animatronic shell being durable enough to survive over 2.39 tons of TNT, which is around building level. Plus, he can fight the Twisted Ones, who can survive explosions of that same yield and scale that same yield. As for speed, he's faster than Bonnie, who can run at speeds calculated to around 20.72 meters per second, or around 46.35 miles per hour, which is at least superhuman levels of speed. But Foxy is even faster than this, as it's implied by the phone guy that Foxy can run at similar paces as modern-day cars, and the most basic car nowadays can reach speeds of around at least 180 to 200 kilometers an hour, or about 112 to 124 miles per hour, with the highest being at least 160 miles per hour. So at his best, Foxy should be around subsonic levels in terms of speed. But this could be even greater thanks to his servo boosters, things that increase an animatronic's speed. Next is intelligence. Despite being possessed by the spirit of a child, Foxy is actually surprisingly intelligent. Apart from basic possessing skills such as understanding English and stuff and ending phone calls or checking cameras, Foxy and the other animatronics have deliberately stored up power for a week in order to escape the pizzeria, and they're fully capable of placing traps and stalling for time. And where Foxy truly excels, however, is of course stealth, as he can easily sneak into the guard's office and take advantage of the camera static, and also just by running through it at the flash speeds and jump scaring him from the first FNAF game, and also flickering lights to catch his target by surprise. And there's also the fact that he has functioned without rest for years, through day to sing and at night to hunt, and has consistently tried to hunt down William Afton for years as well. Now, for his hacks, abilities, and gear, you can say, he actually has a standard hook where he can use to just pretty much stab or cut out people, which it's obvious he has it, yeah. And as Ringmaster Foxy, he also has a whip. And lastly, we have the various different mods, like the EM booster, which causes disruptions to obscure the opponent's view, making it harder for them to see. Then there's the friction regulator, which decreases the time it takes for an animatronic to get close enough to you, making it easier for Foxy to attack the said opponent. Then there's the hydropneumatic suspension, which keeps him functional for a longer period of time. But despite this, Foxy does still have his weaknesses, those being the fact that he can be warded off by a flashlight or a similarly brighter flashlight, Plus, he is an older animatronic, and despite how strong and durable he is, he can eventually be destroyed with enough force. But overall, Foxy is the GOAT of FNAF for a reason. At least in my opinion, he is my favorite character. Boris the Wolf is a character from Bendy and the Ig Machine. He first appears in Chapter 2 to rescue Henry and take him to his house, and in Chapter 3 he is eventually captured by Alice Angel and is modified into his strengthened form, Brute Boris, as he appears in Chapter 4. After being captured by Allison, he became much stronger, of course, but right after he confronts Henry, he was quickly killed by him, so yeah. Alright, now back to powers, abilities, and feats. Boris is comparable to other ink monsters, and can also critically hurt Henry, who has small building level scaling himself, and can also destroy a metal wall, which would require over around this amount of joules of energy. I'm just going to put it up on screen, which Boris should scale to. He can also lift and throw a theme park car that could weigh hundreds of kilograms, and in addition to that, he could tank being hit by Henry's giant pipe, even in his weak spot. Pause. Alright, now for speed, he can also outrun Henry as well, and can again throw and park theme cars, and can jump at superhuman speeds. So yeah. And as for intelligence, he does think normally, but sometimes he can act more intelligently, though. He doesn't really show any other intelligence feats. Not to say that he's dumb, it's that he just barely has any showings of his intelligence stuff and really outsmarting, or at least doing something that revolves his smarts. So yeah. And as for his gear for equipment, he has a bone, a miner hat, and his theme park car, which he can drive around or just throw it at people, and that's really it. But he can also turn into his brute form after he got upgraded by Alice Angel, which increases his strength and durability by a good bit. But despite everything going for him, he still does have his weaknesses. Those being that he is afraid of the dark, I guess you can call that a weakness. And also his chest is open, so it is very much way more vulnerable than other parts of his body, as if you go for that weak spot, although he has shown to resist it, it clearly does show him pain, of course. But overall, yeah, he's cool character and stuff. I have no witty intro, this outro for this one, yeah. But now that we've discussed both characters, it's time we talk about who would win this fight. And while Boris would try his best to put up a good fight, I would eventually have to say that Foxy would be the winner of this battle. And I will tell you why. Well, firstly, Foxy simply scales way higher in terms of physical stats. Boris is strong, especially in his brute form, but Foxy's building level scaling far outclasses Boris's small building levels tier by quite a bit. And also, Foxy just has way better speed scaling than Boris, as he can keep up with modern day vehicles, while Boris's superhuman feats mean that he falls short in this category, unfortunately. And Boris is just really not as smart as Foxy too, because Foxy is capable of setting up traps, and as well as conserve energy for himself to stay in the fight for longer. So yeah. He's also just a far better stealth master too, so Boris wouldn't know where Foxy really is at all times, where Foxy wouldn't know when to strike at Boris. The pirate is also way more versatile and has way more gear to help him out, such as his different mods and the hook, pirate hook, and his whip. Boris really can't compete with that, honestly, even with his super strength form. So, in the end, Foxy's superior stats, intelligence, and hacks makes him the likely victor here, and the one to stay in order. The winner is Foxy the Pirate Fox.